Thank you, Chair. We're live now.
Okay, good morning and welcome everyone to today's hearing. My name is Councillor Munir Ahmed and I shall be chairing the meeting. My colleagues, Councillor Glant, Councillor Bakilini, and I comprise today's subcommittee. Isabel Robb, who is the clerk to the subcommittee, will be minuting the meeting. Hatoun Zeb is the legal advisor to the subcommittee. You will have all received or seen the agenda pack within which is contained the licensing officer's report with details of the application in section 1. To confirm, we are dealing with the premises license application made by Ghost Hospitality Group Limited relating to Casa 165 Duke Road, Acton W30SL. We note 16 representations have been received in total, 11 from residents, 3 from councillors, 1 from the Ealing Police licensing team, and 1 from the pollution control team. In accordance with the procedures, I shall invite the applicant to present the application, answer any questions, and call any witnesses. Invite those who have made representations, objections, to make their representations, answer any questions, and call any witnesses. At the conclusion of the hearing, the subcommittee, accompanied by the legal advisor and the committee clerk, will retire to make the decision. The decision will be given at the end of the meeting, approximately between 1 and 2, and it will be confirmed in writing within 5 working days. If the panel cannot reach a decision today, you will be notified in writing within 5 working days of the panel's decision. Now, before I ask the applicant to present the application, can I ask everyone to introduce yourself and your relationship to this hearing? Can I start by taking Yusuf? Yusuf, can you start, please? Unmute yourself.
Apologies, my name is Mr. Yusuf Alhani. I'm appearing on behalf as a legal representative for the applicant, Casa.
Okay, Noel?
Yes, good morning. My name is Noel Samaru from NCAD Consultants. I'm here to represent my client, which is Casa at 165 Dukes Road.
Okay, Christian.
Good morning, my name is Christian. I should hopefully be the DPS for Casa.
Okay, Councillor Oxley, can you introduce yourself?
Yep. Good morning, everyone. My name's Jonathan Oxley. I'm councillor for Hanger Hill, which is the ward that's directly affected by the application.
Councillor Athena. Councillor Athena. Thanks. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Councillor Athena Zismos and I represent Hanger Hill like Jonathan, and I'm here to observe and ask questions if I can.
Thank you. And then finally, I've got Tatiana Telinkov. Can you introduce yourself, please? Can't hear you.
Dr. Tatiana Telnikov. I am a resident of 165 Princess Gard.
Okay, thank you. Your network is not doing very well, and I've got okay, that's fine. I've got officer from.
Hello? Can you
hear? Yes, we can hear you. And we've got officer from Noise and Pollution Control Team. Matthews, can you introduce yourself, please?
Thank you. My name is Mateusz Kruk and I'm from Pollution Control Noise team from Ealing Council.
Okay, thank you. Now, can I ask the applicant to make your representations, please?
Yes, good morning, committee members and members of the Licensing Authority. Thank you for this opportunity for us to present this case today. We appreciate your time and considerable considerations to this. I want to emphasise that this is an application on behalf of a new operator, because as probably everyone is aware, there has been quite a lot of history associated to this premises. And I want it to be understood that there are no bad premises, there are bad operators. This operator is a brand new operator. They've signed a new lease at the premises. They've invested a huge amount of time and investment into ensuring that this premises is just not a repeat of what has happened in the past. They have no connection whatsoever with the previous management. And as I said, they've signed a lease and made substantial financial investments into the premises to ensure a completely fresh start, and hopefully do away with the.
Can I stop you for a second? I've got another individual appeared on the screen. Chaudhry, can you
Yes.
speak?
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, can you introduce yourself and tell who you are and your relevance to this hearing, please?
Sure. So I'm one of the residents in the area that has been most affected by this location, and therefore I have joined along with one of my other neighbors.
Okay, thank you. Can you mute yourself, please?
Sure.
Those who are not speaking, if you can mute your. Ms. Zeb, you wanted to speak?
Yes, Chair. If I can just check with Ms. Chaudhry, I don't appear to see her name in the list of representees in this matter. Has she made a written representation? Is it in the agenda pack? If so, what page is her representation, please?
So my husband and I have made joint representations. We both unfortunately have work meetings today, and it's not been possible to take out a huge amount of time. So we are kind of trying to do this together. So he might join a part of it.
Ms. Chaudhry, my question was,
Yes.
on what page of the agenda pack is your representation? Because I don't see your name in the papers, and anyone appearing in this hearing has to have made a representation which is published in the agenda pack.
Okay, I'm not sure. Let me have a look at the agenda pack and I can point you to it.
Have you made representations or not?
So I have, my husband has sent emails on behalf of the household. I have complained several times in the past to the council.
No.
Ms. Chaudhry,
what is your husband's name?
Qureshi, Amir Qureshi.
Amir Qureshi.
Yes, Mr. Qureshi is. Yes,
yeah,
Mr.
Mr. Amir Qureshi is on the.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, indeed. Chair, it's a matter for you. Mr. Qureshi isn't present, but if Ms. Chaudhry is saying that she is sort of the same household as Mr. Qureshi, and he'll be joining the hearing at some point, if you're happy for her to remain and make that representation. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's okay to let her stay. And Amir Qureshi has indicated that he will be joining a bit late. So it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, and apologies, but I'm going to have to drop for a call at 11:30, but hopefully my husband will join by then.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Yes, if you can mute yourself. Yes, Noel, you can continue.
Thank you. Yes, so significant improvements have been made at the premises. In the past, one of the most difficult factors about the premises is they smoked shisha. Now, as you're aware, under the smoking laws, it has to be at least 50% open, which doesn't go hand in hand with a venue that's playing music, because of obviously the noise breakout. They have invested well over £200,000 to seal that premises, including the walls, the roof, and it will significantly reduce any noise breakout whatsoever. We've also in the process of installing sound limiters, which you've seen from the letters from the acoustic engineer. That is being done, and the committee will have a full noise report sent through to. We'll send it through to Matthias as soon as that's complete. We understand and we sympathise with the concerns of the local residents. However, we must note that a lot of the noise complaints that have been received have not actually been from the venue. Now, the difficulty that we see that the residents have is there's a big wall of trees between the venue and the residents. Now, when they hear noise or music, they will quite rightly assume that it's coming from that venue. As you can see, we have sent in some videos to show that the noise is not actually coming from the venue, it's coming from the adjacent car park where they hold regular car parties, drag racing, football matches, and whatever else goes on in that car park that we, as the venue, have no control over whatsoever. So I do sympathise with the residents, and we want to try and form a situation where we can support the residents in their difficulties they're having with the car park. With regards to the police objection, I want some clarification from the police regarding their objection. It's important for us to clarify that the police have never been called to that venue. They've never had any reason to any intervention regarding any form of antisocial behaviour, and there have been no history of any incidents that have ever required the police presence. Our goal is to be positive and have a positive presence with the community. We are committed to working closely with the stakeholders and ensure the premises run responsibly and harmoniously. The residents, I would like them to really understand that this is now a restaurant. It is not a nightclub. It is not a shisha bar. It is a very, very nice upmarket Italian restaurant. Finally, in closing, I would respectfully request your favourable consideration of this application. We believe our proactive measures and commitment will ensure a peaceful and beneficial relationship with all the local community. I haven't, committee, gone into every single representation because obviously that would take some time, but you've seen our written rebuttals to those. And if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them for you as best I can.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Do you want to add anything, Yusuf, on that, or shall we just move on to questions?
Yes, if I could just, it's a very small thing. It'll take about 2 minutes. Really, it's about the complaints that exist and the link to the history and why the premises has changed. Number one, I don't think it's far out to say that shisha lounges in the Park Royal, Ealing, Brent area pose a, perhaps not so much for the patrons, but cause a reasonable amount of disturbance for those around. And that's just due to the nature of the type of building that you need to have for shisha lounges, with it being 50% open. Now, one of the primary consideration for this premises, which was previously operated as a shisha lounge, I think since 2000 and in 2010s almost, and as a Naya lounge previously and as Basra lounge, is to ensure that it is a feasible, respected, and more welcoming type of business. And with closing off the 50% open area that's needed for shisha lounges, we now see a normal restaurant. There's nothing so far out of the ordinary for it. It is simply, I would submit, a hearing or a virtual hearing about the disturbance that can be controlled by conditions. And I submit that the investment that's been made should be taken well into account, considering this is a place that has invested so much to make sure that this singular issue is no longer going to be an issue. And I would say that though it can't control what happens behind it in that Park Royal Leisure Complex with the very large car park, a shisha lounge, a couple of restaurants, a cinema, and an arcade and a bowling alley, as the premises itself, it's done what it can to make sure it's not in breach of any of the conditions and the licensing objectives.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Noel, you want to add anything?
Yes, there was one thing I wanted to add, and I meant to tack it on the end of my presentation. And it'll be something for Matthias to deal with when he has his opportunity, is that there have been, I think, 3 or 4 complaints made to the premises this year regarding noise. One obviously thing is the premises has not been open since the second week of January. And I think that emphasises the fact that we sympathise with the residents for the noise they're having to suffer, but it is not coming from the venue. And I think once we recognise that, we can all do something about the problem in the adjacent car park. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I'm going to open up to questions. I can see quite many hands, but before I open up, I have a question. Both of you said it's not a club, it's not a bar, it's not a shisha lounge, it's a simple Italian restaurant. Now, I might be wrong, but usually I eat like between 7 and 10. There are restaurants in the Royal Park Leisure Centre. Nando closes at 11:30. There's another Turkish restaurant, they close at 11:30, and I can go on to others. They all close about 11:30ish. Now, what is the reason you want to stay open until 3 a.m.?
Sorry.
Unmute yourself.
Yes, apologies. I mean, I do note that there were some places. Now, I think the place was essentially Gökyüzü, the Turkish restaurant. There's a Five Guys, there's a Nando's, and there's also Nova. And the reason why I draw comparison to Nova is because it's, I would submit, slightly more contemporaneous, I think the word is. And I think with Park Royal having some aspect of some matters towards a nightlife, with other premises within the Park Royal, within the Ealing Borough, essentially now being extended till about 2 or 3 or 4 a.m. It's not unreasonable to have a business that serves only food to be extended into that hour if there are conditions that can manage it. The reason why it's needed to be open to that late, it is just a business decision. If you're going to close at 11, this type of business isn't a business that has the pull of a franchise like Nando's, to be quite frank. It needs to offer something else. And what I think the panel could consider is, well, would we rather people be going to shisha lounges at 2 or 3 in the morning, or would we rather them be going to a restaurant that's closed, that has quite strict conditions? And I would say really it's just a business decision to try and extend it just to bring in slightly more income. And it really is the competition that's in the area, along with other licensed premises that have those extended hours, including Nova, which does extend to 3 a.m. on a Friday and a Saturday. And then with all other days being 1 a.m. That's in the adjacent complex.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
Sorry, Councillor, I must just add to answer your question. Business has changed since COVID. The business model for many restaurants has changed, and you'll find all across London, and I can speak for that because I deal with a lot of other London boroughs, and it is now a recognised, accepted situation where they're a restaurant, and at some stage during the evening they will have a DJ and entertain their customers in that manner. However, if, as like many other boroughs, to condition it to ensure that it's just not drunk people wandering in and out late at night, there is a last entry time. And what that tends to do for the customers is to, once they've eaten or during their meal, they tend to stay at the venue, because other venues, if they want to open late, have a last entry time. So if they're already there and they're enjoying their food and the music, that is an extra way of keeping their clients at the venue, but also ensuring that it's just not an open door to people that are already drunk or just coming there just for the entertainment. So it is really to entertain their existing customers. And as you're quite aware, the alcohol can only be served to existing customers who are having a full table meal.
Okay, fine. Christian had raised hand and he's taken it off, so I take it as his answer has been given by Noel. Is that right, Christian?
Hi. Yeah, I just want to clarify one thing. It'll be a Pan-Asian restaurant, not Italian. So we're going to be serving sushi, sashimi, a very upmarket sort of cuisine, very delicate cuisine that attract a very well-off crowd to the venue.
Okay. So I'm going to start taking questions, and I'll take questions from my colleague first, and then from the noise and pollution team, and they might have answers for others as well. So, Councillor Gland, you want to start, please? Unmute yourself.
Thank you very much, Chair. Yes, I mean that we've heard an explanation about the late hours, so I won't ask that question now. The question I had was about engagement with residents, and which is a big part of your application. Now, am I right in thinking you haven't done any of that today? You haven't actually, brought people in and shown them what you've done to reduce noise. Have you had any engagement with the public, the surrounding public?
Councillor, to answer your question, we have every intention of doing that. The difficulty is because the step venue is going through its transformation. What I didn't want to do, and it was my advice to my client, is wait until it is ready to show the residents and you can prove to them what it is, because I know that in the past, the previous operator promised all kinds of things and never did anything. And I didn't want us to be tarred with that brush. So it was very important that the venue was finished, almost ready to open, and we were planning to invite all the residents to come and maybe have something to eat with us and meet Christian and his team, and for us to show what a great venue it is with all the improvements that have been done. But we couldn't do that until it was done.
Yeah, I agree with that. I visited the venue a couple of days ago just to get an idea, and I can see it's not safe at the moment. There's a lot of work going on inside and outside, so it is correct. It's not safe at the moment for anyone to visit. Christian, you want to add anything, or shall I go to next question?
Yes, please. I just want to say I'm more than happy after this meeting to share my number with everyone, especially the neighbours. If they have any questions, any inquiry, if they want to sit down over a coffee or anything like this. I'm very well experienced in being a DPS. I worked in various venues around Ealing as well. I used to be the manager of the Harvester in Northholt, the Harvester in Boston Manor, few Miller and Carters. I was a trainee area manager as well for Mitchell and Butlers. And yeah, so if they have any questions, any inquiry, anything like that, I am more than happy to accommodate any sort of meeting. Okay. Yusuf, you wanted to add anything to this question?
Yes, really, it's just the final point. As part of the license, normally the phone number of the DPS or of the main operator is always made available on the license itself, so that it's just available not only to the neighbours. If they move, new neighbours come in, it's always going to be there. But that's like a thing it's not something for us to be able to argue against, but we're happy that it's going to be as part of any license if the committee, of course, is minded to grant.
Okay, Councillor Grant, has that answered your question, or you have another question?
No, that's fine, Chair. Thanks very much. Thanks.
Thank you. Now I'm going to take Matthews, and that might have questions which might answer some other questions as well. Matthews, please start.
All right, thank you very much, Chair. And hello, Noel, Yusuf, and Christian, and everyone. So my first question is about the operation. You mentioned that it's going to be totally new management. There is no connections to the previous premises, operators, etc. But could you please clarify who is the applicant for the new premises license that you have submitted, please?
Yes, I'll answer that. The The applicant is Ghost Hospitality Limited, which is owned by the landlord of the premises. I questioned it myself and said, Christian, why didn't you put in the application? And the reason for this was that the landlord, because of what's happened in the past and people going in there and running a very bad venue, has damaged the reputation of that premises significantly. So he felt that, no, he would put the application in his name, in Ghost Hospitality. He would then give the operator, which is Christian, a period of time, maybe 3 months or 6 months, to run that venue properly and without issue. If they don't do that, he will pull the license. If they do that, he will then transfer the license to them with his blessing, and everyone should be very happy. We don't want to be like the previous situation where you've got somebody in there saying they're running it, don't know who's running it, nobody's having any responsibility for it. So he said, no, it's my premises, I own it, I'm the freeholder, I will apply for the license, I will sign a lease, give you a lease for the premises, which he's done, and as long as you run those premises for 3 months without issue, I will then transfer that license to you. That was the reason.
Okay. However, this is still unclear for because so could you please confirm that the Ghost Hospitality and the owner of the Ghost Hospitality doesn't have any connections to the previous operators, to the previous premises?
Well, he will obviously have some connection because they were running the premises, but those people that were there before are no longer there. So
Well,
the only person that's involved who has any would be the landlord. Well, I mean, we can't kick the landlord out, unfortunately, or not necessarily unfortunately, but we can't do that. He is the landlord, he's the freeholder, but he is taking, I think, a responsible approach to this now, to say that, he is not just going to have anybody in there willy-nilly running his premises and ruin his reputation. And as you're aware, Matthias, he owns probably 7 or 8 properties along Duke's Road, which is the Tesla operation down there. So he doesn't want his reputation tarnished by a rogue operator going in and running his premises. Hence, he has given them a lease, but with the proviso that they run those premises within the license conditions, hopefully that will be granted, and under the license and objectives, and they run a good premises. They also connect very well with the local residents because he knows they've suffered very badly over the last few years, and he wants to correct that by putting in a good professional operator. Now, Christian, I don't know if you're aware, he has another restaurant down in Windsor, beautiful restaurant, and that's run very, very well. So he is an experienced operator, and they want to do a similar operation at 165 Dukes Road.
Well, so when you were saying in your presentation that it's totally brand new ownership management, I wouldn't say it's like 100% brand new operators, because basically the owner still remains the same, and the applicant's name on the premises license is the person who was a director for Anaya Lounge.
I don't think I said owner. I think I said operator. They are completely new operators. The landlord will have no involvement in the management or running of that venue. It is 100% down to Christian. He has signed a lease. It's his business, his company, and it's in his interest to run those premises effectively, properly, to everyone's benefit over the next 3 months, and get that license reassigned to him.
Okay, thank you, Noel. And my another question is about the noise reports and the documentations that you have provided us before the hearing. And my understanding is that this is going to be a noise impact assessment, not the acoustic design. It's something that we discussed before. It will be
everything, but he can't do the acoustic report until the venue is finished. The issue has been is that because we've had 2 bank holidays, trying to get some of the builders in to get the work done on time. One builder was on holiday. When he comes back, another one goes on. So we've had a bit of a time issue. But please make no mistake, Mataz, they have spent nearly £400,000 of that premises.
Okay,
So,
I understand, but I just want to find out more information about the acoustic insulation that you're implementing, whether it was been doing according to acoustic reports. I understand that it hasn't, because the acoustic report hasn't been produced before the work started.
No, it has been done under his guidance. So he would do a full acoustic noise report when it's finished. He can't do it without the sound system being installed. And he wants to be able to set the limiters. He wants to invite you and your noise team in when they set the limiters, so they can have their microphones inside, outside, over by the neighbours' premises, play the music, and then set the limiter where the sound can't be heard. But you can't do that until the work is complete. That's the only reason.
I totally understand
sent you
that.
some pictures as well.
I totally understand that, but my question is about the acoustic design, whether the acoustic design been produced before the work started, and whether you've been doing those works according to that acoustic design report for the sound insulation.
Yes, one of the questions you asked me before we put in the application was the roof going to be sealed? And I said to you, no, I don't think so. I don't think there was a need for it. The acoustic engineer came back and said, no, the roof must be sealed. If this is going to be an acoustic sealed premises, not only do the walls need to be sealed with the acoustic materials, but the roof needs to be done as well. And that's what they did. So they've been following the advice of the acoustic engineer as far as they can. Things, I wish things were that straightforward. Sometimes you have to change your design a little bit. Something hasn't worked. They're not happy with this. And Christian is quite meticulous in the way the premise is going to look. I know that when you visited, you spoke to a builder who said to you they weren't going to do any acoustic work. He was not the acoustic engineers that have fitted all the acoustic walling. He was just a local builder that they got in. So everything has been done, to answer your question, to ensure that those premises are acoustically sealed.
Okay, and my last question in terms of the acoustic is whether there is any documentations that you could prove the advice from the engineers that you get. Any documentations from the acoustic
if you want to know how effective the acoustics walling is, how thick it is, what has been installed, yes, we can give you that information.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Noel, you said that there's a lease in place on Christian name, but the draft lease you provided is not signed yet.
Oh, maybe I've sent you the draft. Maybe Christian can answer that one for me.
Yes, Christian, unmute yourself.
Hello. Yes. No, the lease has been signed. I think the copy was sent. The draft copy was sent.
Okay. I've got a question from Tatiana. Tatiana, unmute yourself and ask question, please. Now, just for clarification, this is only question or clarification. You will have your turn to make your representations later on. So if you have any question. Your network is not doing well, Tatiana, so I don't know if we can hear.
Yes, question is,
I can't hear you. Can anyone else hear, Tatiana?
can you hear me now?
Yeah, but it drops down. Can you speak now so that I can hear?
Sorry?
Yeah, speak, please.
Okay, I try. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
If you speak, we'll find out when you speak.
Yeah, I'm speaking. Can you hear me? I am speaking. No.
Yeah, I can hear you.
1 second. I try my iPad.
Ask your question,
You can
please.
hear me.
Ask your question, please.
Can you hear me? Yeah, my question is again, what kind of restaurant could open till 3 in the morning? We know well, then all restaurants close at 12. By 3 o'clock in the morning, it could be open only nightclub. And I don't representative of Casa to foolish us, please.
Okay, I did ask this question and this question was answered earlier. So I think we'll skip to the next question now.
Okay, next question is, can I say something? Next question. I would like to know how they protect the street from the noise, not building, but the street. Because my house 50 meters from the Casa entrance. How they protect me and our neighbors from the noise street, not from the building. Please answer.
Okay, if you can mute yourself. Yes, Christian, you can answer that. Or Noel, you can answer, whoever.
Yeah.
So
yes. Sorry, Chris, if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, so we're going to have security at the door fully licensed. We're going to have an ID scanner as well at the door that is well recognized across Westminsters and other boroughs. That helps if there is a bad person which has been banned elsewhere, they won't be allowed to come to the premises. The security, no one will be allowed to carry drinks outside the premises when we close whatsoever. When we close, we won't close at 3. We're going to stop serving drinks at, let's say, 1 o'clock, and then the music will stop way before 3 o'clock. So that gives a bit of time for everyone to wind down from the night. And then when people leave, we're not going to let more than 8 people go outside. Once they're fully clear from outside, we're going to let another 8 people come outside. So we're going to let a small amount of people leave bit by bit. The security won't let any cars park at the very back of the road. We're going to have gates, so no cars will be parked close to the residential houses over there as well. So all these measures, and the main door, it's double door. So there is one door, you open it, then you walk inside, then there is another door, you open it, and you get to the venue. So that also prevents noise pollution from leaving the premises and sounds like that. So yeah, well, as I said, all these measures hopefully will prevent any noise coming from the premises or from in front of the premises.
Okay, thank you. The next one is Councillor Oxley. Councillor Oxley, can you ask question, please?
I can. I think actually it's Matri who's the next, is it not?
No, that's okay. You can ask. Amir will ask later. Matri is only observing, so I'll ask Amir Qureshi to ask questions later.
Sorry, I would like to ask a few questions because, as you know, Amir did not join until later. So I just want to have a question based on the context of the conversation so far, if that's okay. And I'm happy to send a written representation later if required. I've also just emailed Isabel.
You said earlier that you were only here observing in absence of Amir, who has made the representation, but that's okay. I will allow you to ask questions. Go on.
Thank you so much. So my question is the Noel and Christian, etc. They talked about the venues in the Park Royal area, which are at a much further distance than our houses on Princess Gardens. And they mentioned that because the late night opening, they'll open until late. Therefore, they kind of create parallel between those restaurants and the premise on 165 Duke's Road. So my questions are, first of all, I mean, we all know from visiting other restaurants and premises late in the night, is that it's quite difficult to control noise. You know, you can have a policy that's written. However, actually enforcing it is difficult. So what makes them confident that they're actually going to be able to enforce, especially given that they are, as Titania said, 15 meters, they're just kind of just across the alleyway, they're just behind our back windows. So what makes them confident that they're going to be able to enforce this late at night, especially given that they have quite an isolated, they're kind of away, right? So there's less of there might be a police car passing by. There's less of any kind of peer pressure from other restaurants or from kind of any fear of enforcement from other authorities. So what is it that makes them confident that they're going to actually be able to curb noise, both from the premise as well as from their customers when they leave and enter?
Okay, Christian, you want to answer this?
Yeah, good training training the team in a good way will help us. So I've got an Italian restaurant in Chertsey. The restaurant is located on the ground floor in a building where the first floor is there's flats all over above me and by the sides. I do have live music every Friday and Saturday all the way till 12 midnight, which live music is a bit loud, and the restaurant have a capacity of almost 100 person, and it's a very popular restaurant where we're full every Friday and Saturday. I have been operating there for a year, and since April 2024, we haven't had a single complaint in regards to noise, and this all comes down to good management, good procedures in place, whether as I stated before, having securities, having an ID scan machine, no one is allowed to carry drinks outside. People are not allowed to leave altogether. We won't be playing music or serve until 3 a.m. or half 2 a.m. It'll be way before that, just to let people calm down and then leave quietly and nicely. And the nature of our business that we're opening, which is sushi, Pan-Asian cuisine, and that concept attract, it's not very appealing for young generation, as in 18 to 20, 24, 25. So it's a bit more mature crowd that will come and enjoy a good night in Ealing safely. And most importantly is training the team how to handle, if there is any social behavior, they're all going to be trained on serving alcohol over challenge 21. They're all going to be trained, females, let's say, call Angela, which is well known for safety. They're all going to be trained. They're all going to be given the right training in terms to run this business in a very safe way, in a very pleasant way. And most importantly,
Can I add something, Christian? Sorry. Within the application, and I know what your concerns are, Mrs. Chowdhury, is that it may not be the sound coming from the venue. It's what happens when people leave, because that road, as you say, backs onto your rear garden. And in the past, I can't comment on what was going on there, but I can just, again, redirect you to the car park, which is next door. However, to ensure that the same situation never arises where people are parking up against that fence, there is we've put barriers across there. Now it's about 30 yards before the venue. So there'll be no drop-off taxis outside the venue, which is closer to you. There'll be no parking there except for staff. When people leave, it's important that we have very well-trained SIA door supervisors who can direct people away from the venue quietly to their vehicles and go up Duke's Road. There'll be no hanging around outside and this sort of thing. And again, as Christian said, that does come down to training and quite a significant dispersal policy and a robust dispersal policy that's already been submitted as part of the application, because we have listened to what yourself and the other residents have said. But I want to emphasize, we can only do what we can do as far as our venue and that road is concerned. We don't have any jurisdiction over the car park or other areas.
So, and I'm only talking about your venue as well. So I'm not talking about the car park. And, you know, you said earlier that the venue is separated by tall trees, but we can actually see it is that your venue is not separated by tall trees. It is the rest of the alleyway that has tall trees. I'm also just a little confused because someone mentioned Italian restaurant, someone else is saying Pan-Asian. Also, someone said that the landlord is the same and felt.
Mr. Chaudhary, this is not a presentation, only a question. Sure. You have answered a question.
So
you have asked a question.
Sorry, yeah. So the other question then is that someone mentioned that the landlord is the same and it was there previously as well, and that they were not able to. They kind of want someone else now on the lease because of the previous people who had broken the rules. So my question is, what you know, the landlord has quite a lot of has the ability to enforce rules on their leaseholders. So if they did not do that in the past, again, what is the confidence that they're going to do this now?
So you're asking the land, it was the same landlord before, but different management. Correct. So how will the new management be better than the previous one? Yusuf, you want to answer this question?
Sorry,
I think the easy way to answer your question is this. Previously, and up until now, that premises has never been licensed. And I know that all of the enforcement officers always find it very difficult. If you have a premises unlicensed, how do you bring them to in front of a committee? You can't do anything. I think for everybody's sake, it would be good to license these premises, make them operate within the Licensing Act, conform to the 4 licensing objectives. And then you have real power to bring them to boot if they don't stick with the licensing conditions that are on their license. That has nothing to do with the landlord. That is the law. They want to be legal. They want to operate properly. But the only way that can be done is by them having a license, which is what they want to do.
Okay, thank you. The next one is Councillor Oxley. You've taken your hand down, or you still want to ask questions?
No, I do want to ask some questions.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, my question relates to your experience to operate this venue. I mean, I'm curious why someone who's experienced wouldn't get your submissions in on time. Why you didn't apparently know that you needed a dispersal plan under licensing regulations. You don't apparently know what food you're serving, because if you've said it was Italian, now you say it's Asian. You don't seem to know how much you're spending, because one person said you were spending well, it's about whether or not they are experienced. Is it 200,000? Is it 400,000? What is the evidence of your experience in running this outlet, given your inability to actually comply with the regulations and get your submissions in on time?
So this is the presentation you are making. What is your question?
That was a question, Chair. What is the evidence for your experience in running this operation when you can't get your submissions in on time?
Okay,
I'm grateful. I think I answered that, Councillor, at the beginning.
Yeah, go on.
And was that we didn't. Now, I don't want to bring this up particularly, but we didn't receive the notification of this hearing till the 18th of April. We would then had to put all this information together. We then had a bank holiday. We then had the hearing, which is here today. So we haven't had very much time to do it. And I think we've done a hell of a job putting all this information together. I did send it into Democratic Services. I did apologise for the late submissions. But as you can see, there's a lot of information there that had to be put through the committee that I think was very important to this hearing. So it's not our ability, Councillor, not to do our things on time. It's also trying to work hand in hand with the licensing authority to get these things submitted in the right manner. It's all very well for the licensing authority to throw in their information, but then we have to then put our information together once we've received that. So we are under a bit of a time constraint. With regards to whether it's Italian or Pan-Asian, I said it was Italian because, in all honesty, that's the food I thought they would be serving. Christian corrected you and said it was Pan-Asian. There is a significant dispersal policy that has been included and been sent to the licensing authority. So your assertion that we don't know what we're doing, I'm sorry, it's totally incorrect.
Okay, you said you want to add something?
Yes, I do want to just say one thing. I just want to make very clear that a lot of these licensing subcommittees, and I understand that the councillor has a duty to represent the ward and the constituents that he has in it. Now, this licensing subcommittee hearings are an ability for the bench and the committee members to see whether a license and the licensees are able to follow conditions to then have the license granted. It's not so much, it feels rather more of an attack on an individual like Christian, who by all means is not going to be extremely well versed into the idea of submissions on time and the idea of submissions at this stage and that stage. His business, as he previously has done and has done quite successfully, is to run premises as the DPS. Now, there's a question about submissions of documentation in respect to a virtual hearing. I don't think that represents the best reflection of a person who has had experience in running restaurants. I understand why Councillor Oxley might be very tempted to portray him as somebody who's incapable for the sake of putting forward those representations for his constituents and to make him appear as incompetent. But the reality is he's put forward documentation, it's quite substantial. The works that have been done are very physically visible if one were to have gone to the premises. So what might have been an idea for the councillor is to actually speak to Christian beforehand, to visit the premises beforehand, to do it. But we are where we are. He said, in all fairness, we've said it was an Italian restaurant. He's clarified to say it's a Pan-Asian restaurant. I don't think it being Italian or it being Pan-Asian or it being South African or Moroccan or Iraqi food is going to make any difference. The difference that should be made is into the type of investment that he's made and his experience, because as it was said previously, what is it that differentiates a place that has a million written rules about enforcement when it doesn't, is the enforcement of it. And the enforcement can only be done where there is an individual who knows how to run premises as he has done in the past.
Okay.
And I would say there's a proven track record.
Okay, Ms. Zeb, you want to say something?
Yes, Chair. Chair, if I may just advise you that perhaps Mr. Al-Hadi needs to be reminded that it's the 4 licensing objectives that the committee will be basing their decision on today, given the application that's been made and the responses. And Councillor Oxley's question was perfectly reasonable in seeking the clarification from the applicant on the slightly confusing response that had been provided. So perhaps Ms. Al-Hadi needs to be a little bit careful in terms of his response, perhaps to direct it positively in responding on behalf of his applicant, rather than scrutinising a perfectly reasonable question by an objector at this hearing. Thank you.
Okay, I think we'll stop that here. We'll move on to our hearing rather than.
I did have one. I had a further question. I mean, yeah, I've got many questions, but I had one further question.
Ms. Zeb, you have, yeah, that's okay. Yeah, carry on.
I'll try and keep it short and sweet. Duke's Road, there is no parking on Duke's Road. Now, I think from scanning the stuff that you've sent this morning, there appears to be new arrangements that you're proposing around, and I've just jotted it down, designated parking and drop off 40 metres from the entrance, and then something about barriers on the road and parking wardens, whatever that is. Perhaps you could just elaborate a little bit about that and explain how that would work, because I think the concern has always been, or one of the main concerns has always been around parking, and therefore people parking in Park Royal and people milling around.
Yes, it's a good question. Obviously, we benefit from the situation where the applicant is the landlord for a lot of those premises along there. So he owns the land, not the road itself, but he owns the land where he can give facilities for parking. I hope that answers your question. With regards to putting a barrier across, this is to help the residents by not having cars driving right up to the front door of the venue, because as Mrs. Chowdhury said, that her back garden fence is there. So if we can keep the cars away from there, that can only benefit them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Amir, you have a question now. And this is just question. You will be able to make your presentation later on. So if you have any question at this stage, please.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you, councillors, for taking the time and allowing us this opportunity. So I have two questions. I'll just set the context for those questions before I actually ask the questions. I'm a little unclear about a number of things, which hopefully, the discussion will clarify, right? The lease is unclear. There seems to be a draft, but nobody's seen the actual lease. So we don't really know who the owner of this place is, right? Italian, Asian, I completely agree. The food doesn't matter, right? But Christian did make a point that, it was targeted to a mature audience. So in my simple head, right? If we are targeting a mature audience, why does it need to be open till 3 a.m. in the morning? Why does music need to be played till 1 a.m. in the morning? Just defies logic, right? Then there's questions around parking. How is the parking being done? Where are vehicles being parked? Who's putting barriers? As of now, do they even have council permission to do any of those changes, to make any of those changes on that road? I don't know the answer to that. So that requires a little bit of clarification, right? And then my final two questions, right? The first question I have is, I've seen some mambo jumbo acoustics report, right, that is coming. Now, clearly, Casa Lounge is paying for that acoustic report. Are we going to get a neutral report done by some neutral authority? Because there's clearly conflict of interest in that acoustic report. That's question number one, right? How's that going to work in the long run? How is going to certify that the acoustics are good enough for us to be in a residential premises? Question number one. Question number two, right? In the past, in those same premises, I've seen Valium cans at the back gate outside Titania's house. In our back lanes, we all have children who are teenagers. We have a social responsibility, me just not for my kids, but for other people's kids as well, to ensure that they are kept away from all of these vices. What authority or jurisdiction does Casa Lounge have to enforce any of that? If I have some youth there at 3 p.m. who are not listening to the bouncers that Casa Lounge has, and they're still continuing with those policies, what authority do they have to enforce any of those actions? So I'd like a little bit of clarification on some of these points before we even consider giving a license to Casa Lounge.
Okay, who is going to answer these questions? Noel, yes, please unmute.
Amir, yes, do you mind me calling you, is it Amir?
Amir,
yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
Yeah,
go for it.
yeah.
Yes.
Amir, they are very reasonable questions for a resident that is concerned about what's going on there. First of all, with regards to the lease, I sent in a copy of the lease. Christian said that it's a signed lease. I sent in the draft because that's all I had at the time. Secondly, the acoustic report, when it's done, the engineer will give an independent acoustic report, but it's very important that Matthias and his team come in and witness it. They will agree the sound limiters, so not us. That will be down to them to monitor it and make sure there is no sound breakout. I come back to my previous point, and this is very important, and that is that there are no bad premises. I mean, there are bad operators. Now, if you have suffered from people doing all kinds of things there before, that is not Christian. That is not the operation he's going to do. Now, If the license is granted, they have very strict licensing and robust conditions that they must apply to. So the council then has a lot of power over them, that if they don't operate properly and they break their conditions on their license, those are criminal offences to not conform to your licensing conditions. So that's one thing. As far as what the venue can do, the venue will have SIA trained door supervisors. Now, if they cannot control the situation, which I very doubt would ever be the situation, but if they couldn't and people weren't listening, two things would happen. Those people would be barred from the premises for life. And because Christian has offered to put a scanner, their details can be scanned in and they will never be allowed entry into that venue again. Secondly, if they don't conform and if they don't listen to the door supervisors, what the power that the premises have is to call the police. That's what they're there for. However, that has never been a situation that's ever risen where the police have had to be called. But I understand your concern. So to answer your question, what powers do they have? The venue has a lot of power to call the police, and the SIA door supervisors are there to control the people prior to anything like that happening. Drugs, I don't really want to go into because it's not going to be that type of venue. But again, if drugs were found on anybody inside the venue, they would be, their details would be taken, the drugs would be taken off them, and the police would likely to be called. And they would have a drug, what they call a drug lockbox on the premises, and they would be reported to the police. I really do want to emphasise to you, Amir, I think the residents are going to be very happy with this venue and the way it's going to be operated. The next issue is what we're going to do about the car park. I hope that answers your questions.
Doesn't actually. It was, it was a very hopeful, roundabout way of answering some of the main issues I raised. Right? If it is going to be for a mature audience, why does it need to be open till 3 o'clock? Important question.
I can answer that question.
Second question. Yeah, let me finish. I mean, you're interrupting me. No, I'm sorry, you're interrupting me. I didn't interrupt your conversation. Right?
Sorry, I thought you.
So let me finish. Right. My question number one: why does it need to be open till 3 o'clock? Why does music need to play till 1 p.m.? Right? If it's for a mature audience, completely. Restaurants, valid business, fantastic. I would love it. I'd love to go and eat sushi there. Right? But this question needs to be answered. Second question: things like parking, changes to the road, changes to putting barriers on the road. Jurisdiction, you have a challenge. People coming in, milling around at 3 a.m. in the morning outside Tatania's house, having drugs. We've had that problem. We've called the police. There's a whole record of, I don't know how many calls we've made. There's an Excel sheet we maintain as residents of the number of calls we've made to Matthias, who's done a fantastic job. What jurisdiction do you have to stop any of that? I don't think you have any, or you will not have those powers. So as residents, to ensure our safety at 3 a.m. in the morning, with Tatania living there, me living there, a lot of us living there with the children, how is that going to work? It is just a safety and a safety problem. Okay. Keeping it open till 3 a.m. in the morning.
I need to just understand your question. Between that premises and Tanya's back garden, there is a fence. So there's no one actually going onto her premises. However, I did say we have a strong dispersal policy that's been written specifically for that premises to ensure that people don't hang around. Christian has said earlier that the dispersal policy will include only letting a certain number of people out of the venue at any one time. But the proof of the pudding is in the eating, Amir. We have to have the opportunity to show you that we can do these things. If you judge us on bad operators in the past, that doesn't actually move us forward. We have proposed many things that we feel will help you. However, as we go forward, Christian said his door is open. And if you have any concerns as a resident, speak to him. We will deal with it. But we can't deal with things that, as far as we're concerned, will not happen and haven't happened. And we will do everything we can in our power to ensure that those things do not happen. But no one is perfect, and if something does arise, the door is open. He'll give you his telephone number. You'll have his email address. You can phone him, write to him, say, look, this happened last night. We're not what are you going to, and we will, in some way, rectify the situation as best we can. If it's not in our power to do so, then we'll speak with the police, or we'll speak with the local PCSO, or we'll speak to Matthias. And because we're a licensed premises, we have that ability to be able to do that. Unlicensed premises can't phone Matteo's noise team and say, look, we're having this problem. What can you do to help us? Because he'll say, well, you're not licensed. Well, we're not going to do anything. So it's very important to pull us into the umbrella or under the umbrella of a good licensed premises that has the support of the police, the noise control team, and other people. Because if they're not licensed and you have an unlicensed premises, A, they don't want to phone anybody because they're unlicensed, and B, no one wants to help because they're unlicensed. So I think it's very important that they do become licensed. You will then have a contact, as I said, and they will do everything they can to help you, Amir. I know Christian will. Oh, sorry, just to answer one other question you had, was why late? That's a good question. If you look at London as a whole, things are getting later. It's now the norm, pretty much, for a lot of restaurants now, on a Friday and Saturday to stay open later, regardless of their age. But because it's a restaurant where people are going to eat, it doesn't attract the younger crowd. I mean, it is an older crowd. I'm not saying old as in decrepitly old, and I'm not saying young as in 18, 19. What I'm saying, it's a reasonable crowd that are going to go and spend decent money to go to a nice venue. And Fridays and Saturdays, people do expect a lot of businesses now, A, because financial constraints is difficult, just to open a bit later and offer something else.
Christian, you want to add something?
Yes, please, if you don't mind. Mr. Amir, thank you for your questions. Just I want to answer very quickly on a couple of points that Mr. Amir mentioned. In terms of
anything new, not what Noel has already said.
Yes. And it's new. New. Why do we have to open late? One, we want to encourage local businesses. We want to be part of, as a local business, we want to encourage local employment. We want to encourage the business nightlife in a very safe way and very well managed way. Music till 3 a.m. No, it will not. I don't think you were at the beginning to hear this. We will not be playing music till 3 a.m. I did state before that the music will stop playing significantly before. So I
said 1 a.m. 1 a.m. Music till 1 a.m. I think is what you said.
Oh, sorry, I misheard you. Then I do first.
Yeah, but 1 a.m. is still 1 a.m. It's post midnight. Just
yeah. In terms of the gates, there'll be disposable gates, so it's not fixed gates. So when the security comes, it's the big metal gate that you block the road. That road haven't been a private road, so legally you can do that.
Okay, Julian, Councillor Gland, do you have a question?
Sorry, thank you very much, Chair. I've been listening to everything. I just have a very quick technical question about AJ Catering, if that's okay. Just to check, Christian, that's your company, is it? That's your company. You're the sole director. Is that correct?
This AJ company is for Mr. Aidan Jaldus, my business partner, and our director on this.
He's the director, is he? And it was incorporated in 23. So how were you operating before that? Were you?
No, this company is made for this venue.
It's made for this venue, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. That was a question, Chair. Thanks very much, Chair. Yeah.
Okay. Question from Councillor Athena Sismos.
Okay. I just want to reiterate that Dukes Road is a private road. There is no legal parking on that road.
What do you mean by private road?
So it's not owned by the borough. It's owned by a private company that does not allow any parking. So on the road itself, we're told that the landlord does not actually own the road, so he can't control. There is 24-hour parking people coming around 24 hours to give tickets to people, so you can't actually park on the road. So the only place you can park legally is in the car park at the multiplex, unless you're going to walk around and park on my street, which is around the corner on Corringway. So there is an issue there. I know that we've been told that the landlord owns 8 premises and they can park there, but do these leaseholders know that they're going to be told that they have to give up their parking spaces in the night? In the past, we have been told that they can park at Tesla. Well, if you ask Tesla's security guards, which I have, no one that is not a Tesla car is allowed to park there. So there is an issue there that's yet to be addressed. So everyone's going to go and park in the multiplex, which is fine. They're not happy about that because we talked to the security guards there too. And they've had past experiences from the premises and do not want people that go to that premises in the past to park in their car park. Again, another issue. I know it's a past, blah, 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 but you still have the issue with the parking. You cannot park on that road. So where are you going to park?
Okay, Noel, do you want to answer this?
Can I answer those questions? First of all, Duke's Road, you're right, it's not owned by the council. However, either side of Duke's Road, there is hard standing. That is owned by the landlord. They're his premises. So people are not parking because it's a very narrow road. You couldn't park in the road. So they park on the hard standing, facing the premises. And we calculated you can get nearly 38 cars quite easily parked on the hard standing outside his premises that he's given permission to. I dispute very much that those customers have actually gone and parked in the multiplex car park because they'd have to walk miles to get back round. There's no entrance, so they haven't actually parked there. I don't know who told you that, but that's not correct. Because if they parked in a multiplex car park, it would take them about 40 minutes to walk round to the venue.
I'm sorry, do not.
Sorry, that's wrong. That's just wrong. That's just factually incorrect.
Yeah,
that's
so
factually incorrect.
Whoever told you that, I don't know.
Sorry,
sorry, Noel,
yes.
You're factually incorrect. We need to correct your facts here. Walking around the multiplex will take about 5 minutes. This Athena Councillor Zissimos is absolutely right out there.
It's 5 minutes.
I live here. I've lived here.
Okay,
for
all right,
years.
5 minutes.
Right?
Our customers wouldn't be happy, particularly to go and park in the multiplex if that has happened in the past. But there is sufficient parking available to their customers on the hard standing, not on the road. However, if they wanted to put a movable barrier just to stop people driving down to the neighbour's fence, I don't know why that would be an issue. That is something to help them. However, if no one wanted a barrier, we'd put an SIA doorman there who would say, no, you can't go past this point. That's it. We're trying to help. And it just seems to be at this hearing at the moment, there are people throwing things in not to help, just to stop it. And that's not right. We're here to have a meeting to try and find a way forward, not to just bring up things that, about parking. We are trying to resolve the parking point because I understand, and I've been there and seen it, where if they go too far up the venue, they actually go too close to the neighbour's back fence, which we want to stop them doing. So we've arranged hard standing for them. The landlord has agreed. We worked out you can get about 38 cars there and a turnaround point there as well. So not even taxis need to go up outside the venue, because late at night, I suppose that cars will be heard from the residents that are right on that fence line, which are 2 or 3 houses there. Further up, they have an issue with the car park. So we're trying to do what we can, Councillor.
Okay, Matthews, you raised your hand and you took it down. Do you still have a question, or you want to go on to presentation?
My questions were already answered. Thank you. I also wanted to clarify the position of pollution control, but this is something I can do later during my presentation.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we have come to the end of the question session. Now we are moving on to the presentation section. So I will start by taking you, Matthews. So if you can start your presentation now, please.
Thank you very much, Councillor Ahmed. So good morning, actually good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mateusz Kruk and I'm a Noise and Nuisance Officer looking after Acton area. As I said at the beginning, I would like to clarify the role of Pollution Control Department. So it is our statutory responsibility, statutory duty to investigate any allegations for noise and nuisance. And it doesn't matter whether the premises licensed or not. If there is a nuisance, whether it's coming from the premises, whether it's coming from another house, this is our responsibility to investigate and then enforce. I have submitted my objection to the new premises license due to our concerns regarding the applicant's ability to uphold the licensing objectives. Also, they disregard for regulations, council authority, and very long history of antisocial behavior and noise and nuisance complaint dating back to 2008, when the premises was known as Basra Lounge and Anaya Lounge and then Anaya Cafe. The premises is only 45 meters away from the nearest residence of Princess Gardens, and I believe that the venue is not suitable for the proposed new premises license, lacking measures to prevent public nuisance. Residents who have reported the noise and nuisance in the past have identified Anaya and the previous operators as a source of noise nuisance due to loud amplified music, disrupting the peace and comfort of their homes. As well as antisocial behavior, which includes street drinking, rowdy behavior, public urination, use of illegal substances, and reckless driving. I would also like to remind that on 6th of July 2022, our department has served an abatement notice, which then was repeatedly breached and resulted in the confiscation of sound equipment and prosecution at Uxbridge Magistrates Court, where the premises owner was found guilty 6 out of 7 charges. Furthermore, a partial closure order was imposed on 31st December 2021. While operating as an Anaya Cafe, the premises application was already refused in May last year. Since then, we have been notified that the premises is planning to fully enclose the shisha area and improve sound insulation to mitigate the noise disturbance. In February, I have visited the site with a health and safety officer to discuss the matter and to better understand the venue's plan. I met with Mr. Christian, who informed me that the premises will be now fully enclosed, and however, he was unable to provide me more information about the sound installation and whether there are going to be any improvements for the roof, which I noted back then was in very poor condition. We spoke about my conversation to the builder, so I just quickly mentioned that I spoke to one of the builder who introduced himself as a main builder, as a person responsible for the building improvements, and he told me that the walls been stripped, exposing existing rock wool insulation, and mentioned that no further acoustic improvements were planned. After the meeting, I email the premises further questions regarding the sound insulation. For example, whether the walls are according to an acoustic design and if sound insulation will be tested. But also the premises plan about the mitigation of the potential noise disturbance and whether they plan to discuss the application and introduce themselves to local community. My questions were answered, and all the answers can be found in the agenda pack under my objection. However, I have still not received any documentation or acoustic test reports or acoustic design reports which would verify the effectiveness and proposed sound insulation measures. As well as I haven't been notified whether any meeting with local residents and authorities took place. At the end, there's also inconsistencies in the information provided during the visit and the telephone call. Despite claims of the new ownership and management, the name on the new premises license application matches that the previous director of Anaya Lounge, who was previously prosecuted for causing noise nuisance. And again, this raises concerns regarding the true responsibility party for the premises operation. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them all.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to open up to the questions, and then once we've dealt with this, then I will give chance to the objectors to speak. So we'll finish with the questions to responsible authority. Noel, you have a question? Unmute yourself.
Okay. Yes, I just have a couple of brief questions for Matez. Matez, when was that original meeting with Christian?
I don't remember the exact date. That I remember it was in February this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Early part of February. Now, at that time, Matez, when you visited the premises, was there a lot of work going on, or you said you met the builder?
Yes, I met the builder. What I noticed is that I believe the end of the premises was already closed, if I remember, as well as it seems that the walls been already closed. There was some insulation. I noticed that there was some insulation going out of the plasterboards. So when I asked whether there's going to be any other acoustic improvements implemented, such as anti-vibration barriers, etc., I've been told that no, they, as I said, they stripped the walls. There was some rock wool, and they said like they plastered it back, and they informed me that no further improvements are being planned.
Okay, well, since then, they have got an acoustic engineer in, as we said to you. The letter I think you've seen from Mr. Marquette, who is a well-established acoustic engineer. He's been overseeing the work. However, we cannot do the sound report for you, Mateo, to answer your question why that hasn't been done until that work is complete, because it would be pointless. In your letter to me, you stated about how much work was going to be done. I did say to you that was going to be completed. One other question I have for you, you've referred to some incidents that took place back in 2022. Can you confirm that that was a different operator? Because as we've said, this is a brand new operator here, so he can't be held responsible for what happened in 2022. Can you confirm that is the situation?
Are you asking for abatement notice?
Yeah.
In 2022.
Yeah.
So the abatement notice that was served is the same person that made the application for this premises.
However,
and the abatement notice remains active.
Yeah, the abatement notice was made to him because he owned the company, not because he ran the venue. With regards to other complaints, have any complaints been made to you this year?
No, and actually I wanted to clarify that because I cannot recall any conversation we spoke about any noise complaints that we receive. Obviously, when we're receiving the noise complaints, we're investigating and confirming whether the noise complaints that we have received is coming from the correct address. But I cannot recall the situation when we had a chance to discuss any noise complaints made against 165 Dukes Road.
Okay, so you can confirm no noise complaints have been made this year.
I cannot recall any.
Okay. Yeah, I've got no further questions. Thank you very much.
Okay. Does anyone else have question? Yes, Councillor Buckley.
Thank you, Chair. I think Councillor Gallant is before me.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see that.
Yes.
Okay, you can ask.
You go ahead, Rima. You may ask my question anyway. So.
Actually, Chair, I just wanted to add some input on carrying on from what the nuisance officer was stating about noise. I myself have a personal experience as I go to the gym all the time at the leisure centre, and I've seen firsthand the amount of noise and antisocial behavior that's happening around the Park Royal area, especially at night after 8 p.m. And like since then, I have never I've decided to never go again to the gym after 8. It's quite dangerous.
Only
but
question if you have.
Yes, so I wanted to ask Matthias about the noise complaints. Was there any noise complaints coming from the leisure centre, from residents complaining about the leisure centre at the time?
Well, I will have to review our database. Unfortunately, I won't be able to provide this information tonight, as I cannot recall any complaints against the leisure centre.
But this is not related to this application, so we will. I think we will skip that.
Okay.
If you have any questions, please remember to contact us.
Yeah, thank you. No, but I just wanted to know if the amount of complaints that was received through.
No, we will not talk about the leisure centre.
No problem. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah. Councillor Gland, do you have a question?
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair. Yeah, so Matthias, I appreciate you've written your report and you've read that out. But you obviously heard a lot of explanation today, and a lot of the questions, have been answered. So the first question is, does it give you more confidence that this venue can be operated without creating a noise nuisance? Okay, what you've heard today, not necessarily what you experienced in the past, what you've heard today, does that give you more confidence? And the other question is, if I may, now, I mean, Christian is obviously, he's new, he's taking on the lease. So are you not confident that he is a new force, a new organisation coming in to operate? And why are you not confident?
And I will add to that question before you answer this question. It has been mentioned earlier as well. Obviously, the landlord will have his premises and try to put new management to make things better. If things have happened in the past, what is your view that now with the new management, with the new person operating the license, with his experience, will be able to manage those issues that you had in past?
Okay, so in terms of the new management, unfortunately, I don't have the confidence that everything is going to go as smooth as promised. This is because I have requested some information about sound acoustic insulation. I think it's also very important to mention that the POO sound insulation, which even if the sound insulation now is top end, this is just the element of the problem. It's not the main problem that is since 2008. I don't have the confidence that in terms of the ownership, in terms of the management, anything's changed. That's because there was like the change of the operators, the names of the operators changed already 3 times, and now we have another operator claiming that this is totally something brand new. However, the application itself has been made by the person that's been director of the previous operator. About the sound insulation also, this is something that cannot be verified. Today I spoke about the acoustic design report. So my understanding was that first the premises will seek for advice from the specialist about how well they can improve the acoustic sound insulation and work according to the report which will be produced before the works starts. I understand that this is not the case. What the applicants my understanding is what the applicant will provide us is once the works are completed, will be provided with sound with the noise impact assessment. This is great. However, I just wanted also to better understand how good the sound insulation is, and whether the works that been doing were in accordance to some specialist advice.
Okay, Christian, you have any question?
Hi, sorry, it wasn't a question. It was just me answering Mr. Matteo a couple of points, if that's possible.
No, this is a question.
Oh,
not,
I do apologize. I do apologize. Sorry.
Okay, Noel, you have a question?
No, it was to answer his statement really, but it was that I don't know how I can put it in a question format, but I think one of the interesting points is that the sound consultant is not here. He wants to be here, but he's actually in surgery at the moment, going through a cancer operation. But that's why he wrote the letter to say what he is going to do. But it's very difficult for us to give you a sound report and tell you what's done until it's done. And that work is in the process of being done. And as soon as it is complete, Matthias, we will invite you and your team to the venue to witness the sound inspection, and have a lot of input into what the sound level should be set at, the sound limiters, and so on and so forth.
Thank you, thank you, Noel. This is
you said you have any question, not clarification here.
No, I don't know how to really put it to ask a question without giving an explanation for it, Councillor. But I have nothing else to say. That's fine.
Okay, Yusuf, you've taken your hand down. Yes.
And no, it's a very small question, and it is a question. Yeah. Sorry, Matthias. I think you know previously it was effectively operated as a shisha lounge. It's now being proposed to be operated as a restaurant. Would it be in the noise pollution team's opinion that changing it from a shisha lounge, which would be 50% open, in all fairness to comply, to now a closed restaurant, would that have any impact in ensuring that there is less noise pollution or less breakout naturally as a part of what the business is?
This is something that we cannot confirm. When it comes to the noise pollution, obviously, whether there is a shisha bar and some open space, the noise can escape quite easily. However, in the same time, when we have enclosed premises, people still might leave the windows open. People still might leave the doors open. The DJ still might play the music excessively loud using a very powerful PA system. I
it's
hope
not
this
something.
answers.
No, that's fine.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have one
Ahmed,
other.
you have a question? You will have a presentation time later.
I just have one question for. I have one question for Christian, if I may.
Okay.
Christian, you said you've been dealing with these issues since 2008, right? There is a restaurant in the leisure complex, right? There was, I think, Five Guys as an example, or there's a Turkish restaurant there, right? For years, I didn't know it even existed. I live right behind, right? But whenever, be it Anaya Lounge, Basra Lounge, whatever you call it, I immediately know it exists because of the trouble it causes, the noise pollution, the antisocial behavior, right? So my question to you, in your experience, given what you've done with the council over all these years, can that venue, Anaya Lounge, Basra Lounge, Casa Lounge, whatever you call it now, ever become a restaurant that gets hidden like the Turkish restaurant in the leisure center, and we as residents will never find out it even exists? Because that would be the best thing. That would be the best restaurant. We don't even know it exists, right? Can that ever operate? Can that venue ever operate like that? Is my question to you.
So just to clarify, thank you very much, Mr. Amir. So whether the Casa is compatible to operate as other Turkish restaurants?
Yeah, as any restaurant, where we as residents don't even know it exists. Can it ever operate like that?
Well, everything is possible. So I totally. This is something that also.
Correct. Everything is possible, but what is the probability? What is the probability of that happening? Because as a resident, I would love a restaurant where I don't even know it exists. But that particular premise has never operated like that since I've been living here since 2010. But since 2010.
If we consider the previous history and all the complaints that our department received, I might struggle to give you the answer that's that's for sure that there's a possibility that this premises, if it's managing as it used being managed in the past years, then definitely not. In terms of the
that's good. And that's good. We only have the rear view mirror right now. We can't predict the future. I don't know what's going to happen 3 months, but the rear view mirror is a sufficient, is a sufficient. Thank you. You've answered my question.
What I wanted to also ask, as for our department, we really try to also discuss the improvements that been proposed by the premises to us. That's why answered those additional questions. That's why I asked whether the premises is working according to an acoustic design, which has been done before the works, whether the premises is planning to have any acoustic tests, certificate acoustic test, not the sound exercise that we can do when we visit the premises and agree for the levels, but the tests themselves. I ask you for the reverberation test, I ask you for the airborne tests, and for the ambient test. Still, I know that this can be done once the works are completed. However, those tests will not sure what will prove, because if we don't have the acoustic design, this test might not be really helpful at the end.
Matthias, if the license was granted within the core hours, do you think that would still have a problem?
If the premises wants to operate with regulated entertainment, there still might be a problem. If I remember, the core hours are till 11:30 on weekends. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So in my opinion, these hours are still excessive. If the restaurant plans to have regulated entertainment within the venue.
Okay, Noel.
Yes.
The same question that I asked Matthias.
Yes.
If the license was granted for core hours, would that work with your model or not? No.
To be perfectly honest with you, it would not. What would work with our model is for the hours that we've requested for us to run the venue correctly, which we will, with all the sound work, all the sound acoustic work, the tests, the door supervision. That is how the venue needs to operate to make it a viable operation. And I think what's happened in the past, again, to follow on from your question, is that because they haven't had a license, they've been free to do whatever they want to try and make money.
What the struggle here is that you are about 45 meters away from the residence, and you are opening. I mean, we have another restaurant in my ward, which is just like 5 meters from the residence. They are working perfectly fine. It's a very big restaurant, bigger than this one, but their hours are core hours, and they are working fine. They don't sell alcohol. Now, if you want to sell alcohol and you want to stay until 3 o'clock, you're only 45 meters away. And yes, you are doing your acoustic and everything, but obviously the customers have to stand outside. They have to come from outside. They have to come in the car. They have to rev the cars. So there can be lots of things that happen only 45 meters away. So this is why I was asking you if your model works within the core hours or not. If it doesn't work, then obviously it's up to you.
It's obviously to be truthful with you and everybody here. That business model would not work. However, we have implemented or will implement a good dispersal policy. We've got a good door team. We'll make sure people come out a gradual dispersal from the premises. They're ushered away from that area. But I think in the past, the main difficulties, Councillor, have been, they've said cars revving, doors slamming, people congregating outside. So that is the issue that we have to deal with. And I think we've put quite robust operating dispersal policy in place to ensure those things don't happen.
Yeah, but that works on the papers, but in
Yes.
practice, when the youngsters come
Well,
and
hopefully
they
we're
want
not
to
going to
try
have too
their
many youngsters. That's not the people we're looking to attract there. As Christian said, he hopes that it'll be an older crowd, because it's not going to be a cheap restaurant by all means, by any means.
But my
but
question is, let me ask this.
Yes.
At 3 o'clock in the morning or 2 a.m. in the morning, there is not much left open. So anyone, whether they are youngsters or older, this will be an attraction for them to pop over. Now, even if you don't allow them to come in, if they are outside, they can be problematic, no?
Well, that's why we said that we would have door team out there to make sure they can't approach within 40 metres of the venue, unless they have a reservation and they're coming in before 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Because if they
Can I
can't come in
speak,
before
please?
1 o'clock, there's no point in being there.
Okay.
Can I add something, please, if you don't mind?
Sorry, who is that?
Christian.
Yes, go on. Come on screen.
Just in regards of the hours, I'm more than happy to reduce an hour on the weekend, Friday and Saturday, just to show how serious we are and how much we want to work with the residents and take their concerns very seriously, with all the other measures that we have in place already. So I'm more than happy to reduce an hour from our opening time, especially on the weekends, just to show them like we are serious. And I do have 2 questions for Mr. Matteo, if I may, please, sir.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mr. Matteo, you mentioned that you have no confidence in management. My question is, why would you not have confidence in a DPS holder like myself, who's been granted his license more than 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, from Ealing Council, and managed more than 8 different venues inside the borough and outside the borough, and I never ever had a single issue with any council in regards of anything that breaks the license condition whatsoever in more than 8 venues? That's my first question. My second question is, I'm extremely concerned that someone that represents Ealing Council like yourself, when you visited us in February, I'm extremely concerned. Why would you not take notes of the day of the visit and take notes what you ask on the day and what work you saw? Because you mentioned that you believe the wall was built. The wall was not built. I have a proof when the bricks were bought and when the bricks were installed and delivered. So I'm very concerned, why would someone from Ealing Council put the council in such a position, especially that we're talking about an investment that cost hundreds of thousands of pounds, and an investment that will create more than 30 local jobs in the area, and that will create good income for the council and for the local community as well. Thank you.
Okay, so let me answer your second question. So in terms of taking the notes, I was taking the notes and also took some pictures of the walls as well as the roofs. If this is needed and will help for the final decision for the subcommittee, I can provide the report of that visit from the February along with the pictures. In terms of your first question, I hope you don't take it personal. I totally appreciate your work. However, as I said, given the history of this premises, given the enforcement actions that our department has taken, unfortunately, I'm not unable to verify how successful you were with your with the restaurants that you have managed, and whether there were any noise and nuisance enforcement action against yourself. So what I can only say is based on the data that we have in our database.
Okay. Is that a question, Christian, or answer?
Yes, sir. Question, please.
Okay.
Mr. Matteo, would you think it's fair to judge someone's new business based on an old business that has nothing to do with him whatsoever, but purely based on a location that caused maybe or maybe not that problem came from this location. But do you think it's fair to judge a totally new investment and the totally new people that are trying to make a decent living in this very difficult circumstances and creating new job opportunities, local job opportunities? Do you think it's fair based on a previous badly operated venue, if that was the case? Because I don't know. Do you think it's fair to make this judgment in front of a committee and your judgment may influence other people's opinion, because this is a committee and the whole point of this committee is to whether to grant the license of this newly invested and newly operated and newly people or not? Thank you.
I totally understand that you might feel that it is not fair. However, given that the nature of the business that you're planning to operate is very similar to the previous operators, as well as the applicant's name, as I said, is basically the same name as the previous director of the previous operator.
Okay.
This is also one of the factors why I made my objection.
Chair, if I may, I think it's an unreasonable question to ask Mr. Matthias. He's providing his opinion.
That is for the committee to decide. Amir, it's not your job to decide.
Sorry, that's why I addressed the chair. Sorry, my apologies.
That's for me to decide. Okay, we've come to the end of this question session from responsible authority. Now, I've got 3 speakers: Councillor Oxley, Dr. Tatiana, and Amir. So, Councillor Oxley, can you start by giving your presentation?
Sure, I'll try to be brief because I think we've covered a lot of ground already. Yeah. First of all, I'd just like to thank the committee for giving me an opportunity to present. I think there's several grounds for objecting to this, and I am objecting on behalf of Councillor Zizimos as well, I should say, who's on this call. I think there's several grounds for rejecting the application. First of all, to prevent a public nuisance. We talked a lot about that. I don't think we perhaps just taken a step back and just think about where it is. It is down in an industrial estate, down a business road. It was, I believe, historically a bakery. It's a very strange place to put a late closing alcoholic beverage place, a restaurant, in such a place where parking is prohibited, notwithstanding what we heard, but this has only come in the last, just before we held the hearing, notwithstanding the sort of mitigations they've got around some parking. So I think it's a very inappropriate place to have it. It's just 45 metres from residences, and to have that amount of amplified music and alcohol, I think, is inappropriate. I think Mrs. Chowdhury made a very good point earlier, which again we haven't really touched on. It is a no-through road, so unlike the kind of peer pressure, I'm trying to look for the appropriate word, but you don't have people around to scrutinise and observe what's going on there. It is down a road which people don't walk past. I don't think it's a good place to have a venue. The second ground is around protection of children from harm. I know that many of the residents do have young children. They're trying to study, they're trying to sleep. It really cannot be right that there is a residence 45 metres from their premises playing loud music with loud people, and they should not be prevented from doing those things because of that noise and that intimidation that might imply. And I think the third area I want to mention is crime and disorder. Again, for the points that Mrs. Chowdhury made, it is down a road. I think it is very likely, and I think a near certainty, that when you have a combination of large groups of people drinking until 3 a.m. or perhaps 2 a.m. and thank you for bringing that in, 2 a.m. in the morning, it seems to me a near certainty that will result in antisocial behaviour and loud noise. I'm not convinced at all by the things that have been thrown in very late in the day around dispersal plans. I wonder if they've only been produced because I mentioned that they hadn't produced one already. I think that the likelihood to get crime and disorder is quite big. I think illicit drug taking is quite likely. It's a side road. Nobody's walking down there. I think that's a possibility, and again a likelihood. We haven't talked about the drag racing, the fact that parking is difficult down that road. I think it will mean people will park in the adjacent leisure centre. Indeed, some of the customers may be coming to the venue having done some other things or done some other activities in the leisure centre. And I think the dispersal plan, well, okay, good that you brought it in now, but it seems very strange to me that you weren't able to bring that in sooner. And so to conclude with, I think we talked a lot about history. This site does have an appalling track record. I hear the concern from the applicants, and I do have some sympathy that you feel that you're new, but we've been here before. It is actually the same owner, and there has been a track record, and I don't think it's necessarily all about people. I think it's the location is really not a good location for this type of activity. Local police are opposed to this, the 3 ward councillors are opposed to this, the pollution control are opposed to this. I really don't think this application should be permitted at all. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Who is next? Dr. Tatiana? Unmute yourself, please.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So I'm a local resident, and my house situated practically 40 meters from Casa restaurant. From my bed windows, I can see people. I can hear them talking. I can watch everything what's going on the Duke Road. The car, which usually parking behind the gate, flashing into my bedroom windows. I can't open the bedroom windows because it's a lot of noise, even without those music which we used to have for last 15 years. Somebody mentioned that we suffer a few years. No, we are not suffering a few years. We've been suffering for 14 years. And the people said they in the Casa, in the future Casa, they are not going to attract the youngsters, though they're going to be open till 3 a.m. Who is going to be stay for 3 a.m.? Pensioners. They already in the bed at 10 o'clock. Who going to be at 3 a.m.? It's going to be noise. It's going to be car, motorbike noise. Nothing would happen. I'm thank you very much for sympathy for residents from Mr. Noel and Yusuf. But I'm sorry, I don't believe what you're saying. We come back to the same problem we've been having for 14 years. Nobody can shut up the even 2 or 3 people who will be shouting practically behind my house, practically under my windows. Because I can see, I saw so many times when people jump over the Duke Road's gate and searching our garages and our roads around. It happened not once. So the situation is so serious. And as Matthias said, insulation don't resolve the problem. Crime will be increased. Unsocial behavior will be increased because it's going to be open 3 a.m. Please don't foolish up. Then restaurants are open till 3 a.m. It's only nightclubs, as we know, open till 3 a.m. Who going to be there? You know, everything what I heard, honestly, I'm shocked. They just, the gentleman tried to say something which would never happen in the future. They just try to convince how nice, how quiet everything going to be, how happy we will stay in our area. When we bought this house with my late husband, we wanted to live in a quiet residential area. And in the result, we are living in the hell. And my last point, as a medical doctor, I want to emphasize for noise pollution, which affected our health, our residents' health. First of all, it's stress. Every night we used to be thinking, what is night? Won't sleep or we won't sleep. We, all of us, very stressful. It's weakened our immune system. It's reduced quality of our life. We could get a hearing loss because of extreme noise, sleep disturbances, stress and anxiety. So this, I don't want this restaurant to exist as a fact. It should not be built and it should not be open as a fact. It can't be built 45 meters from the residential area. That's it. I'm finished.
Thank you. Amir?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Firstly, I just want to thank the councillors for giving us this opportunity, and also, Noel Christian for providing additional information on the matter. Right. I'll just break my thoughts into three pieces. Right. The first piece will be around the council's findings that Matthias touched on, and I'll just add a little bit to that. The second, me and how some of the residents here feel, and third, my third piece will be me as a parent as to what I see and what I've seen in the past. Right. So, firstly, I just want to touch a little bit on the council's findings. Right. We can keep saying that this was the past. We have a new operator. The reality, the fact of the matter is that it is the same owner. I think the council's team, Matthias, over the last few years, I think they've just done a fantastic job of recording everything that's happening. And he brought out some very important facts here. The previous owner, for example, was prosecuted, right? The counter to that was very frightening for me, because I heard somebody say that, maybe it was from the venue or not. That seems like you're challenging something that has already happened and has been proved and prosecuted in the past, right? We all know that venue, its location, the way it's located away from the main road, there is no through road. It's not easy for the police to get in there. We've all experienced this, open till 3 a.m., alcohol being served there. We've all experienced the fact that venue eventually ends up becoming a place for certain notorious activities, right? From, drug peddling to Valium cans that we found. There is a police complaint which I had to make in February, that we had some folks partying somewhere and coming into our area and throwing big Valium canisters on a road, right? So I had to make the police complaint at 3 a.m. So really, where I'm going with this is, we can say it was all historic, but I would be very naive as a resident to believe that the same thing won't happen again, right? Especially given that it's open till 3 a.m., especially given that alcohol is being served there, young people will come, right? So I am absolutely with Tanya, and I sympathize with her because her house is even closer in mind to that particular venue, right? Then secondly, right, just as a resident, I think Councillor Rima made a very valid point that she actually doesn't go to the gym after 8 p.m. I have the same problem. I have teenage kids, and I would not let them go in that lane behind. Although it is our lane, it is very worrying in terms of what happens when that venue is open. We've seen lots of noise. We've made numerous complaints. I mean, I would say those complaints are in the hundreds over the last, I don't know, 10 years or so. And, the data can be extracted from the council's database for sure, right? All of this, what this does to our social life, our family life is, it is hard for children to wake up at 7 o'clock and then go to school if they get disturbed in the night, especially at 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. in the morning, right? It is hard to ignore loud blaring horns on that street, lights flashing all the time. So these things are a challenge for us as the residents. And finally, as a parent, living in the area, investing in this place, the whole idea was to live in a place where we have acceptable noise levels. I myself, I'm a big proponent of businesses. I would have no problems if it was a restaurant that's closing at 10 p.m. Absolutely no problem if it works in regulated in the normal hours. But 3 a.m. in the morning, and then you try and spin up a story and say, hey, look, you know what? Only old people will go there. I mean, absolutely. Which pensioner will go at 3 a.m. out there? It's just naive, right? I mean, these are just arguments that are being made up on the fly without thinking. The documentation is not right. The ownership is still with the previous owner. We can say it doesn't matter whether it's Italian or Asian, but you still don't know what it is. So I just think, in my humble opinion, this is just the same old horse with different clothing, right? And it's going to result in the same problems. So I would almost certainly object to it being granted permission in the current context of it being open at 3 a.m. and so on and so forth, right? If all of that changes, that's a different discussion. But in the current context of the way it is, I would object to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Noel, you've got a question to these three objectors. Let me start with Julian first. Councillor Glant.
Thank you, Chair. I do have one question for Jonathan, for Councillor Oxley there, and thank you very much for everyone to come in and make these representations, by the way, for everybody. But could I actually put a question to Christian as well? Would that be okay? Something that's arisen. I'll start with that, if I may. Christian, smoking. I mean, you're going to have to let people outside who want to smoke. Smoking, as far as I'm concerned, shisha smoking and cigarette smoking is just smoking. It's not actually licensable. So what kind of policy would you be proposing to limit the number of smokers, or do you have any policy in mind to limit the number of people who'd be allowed to smoke outside the premises? And I just want to ask Jonathan, if I may, and it's a question I always ask this question, that you sent in your representations, and you've written it and so on, and we've all read it, but you've obviously heard the discussion today. So is there anything that you've heard today that's been proposed and put forward that has sort of given you another idea and made you made it more acceptable?
Do you want me to start?
Yep. I mean, I asked that question here.
No, not really. I mean, I welcome the fact that one of the I can't remember whether it was Noel has committed to reduce to 2, but I mean that's it's far too late for that kind of premises. The thing I'm most disturbed is there's a lot of new information that came in late in the day. Yes, we had half an hour to have a look through it, but there's quite a lot of stuff there to consider. I don't really hear anything new, because I think that the problem for the applicant is the location of the premises. I just think it is a totally inappropriate place to have that kind of venue. So not really. If anything, hearing from pollution and hearing more about the track record, I knew there was a bad track record. I hadn't quite realised how much history there was. If anything, it's hardened my views that the application should not be granted. And I think you raise a very good point about smoking, which we probably should have talked a bit about earlier.
So, Christian, could you answer that one about smoking, please? Because it's obviously, I mean, shisha. It is presented as shisha and cigarette smoking are presented as two different things, but I mean, it's just smoking. So, what are your plans for that?
Councillor, I can probably help with that.
Thanks, Noel. Okay, yeah, sure. Yep.
In the operating schedule, a designated smoking area, which every premises has to have. That will allow 5 people at a time to stand outside in a designated smoking area that is overseen by SA door supervisors and cameras. I hope that's
okay. Thank you very much. If you put that in somewhere, forgive me I'm glad it's been aired in words. Thank you very much. That's fine for me, Chair. Thanks very much.
Where is the smoking area? Outside, right on Duke Road?
Yes, the entrance to the premises is on Duke's Road, so it would be out the front, but it's quite a wide frontage, so it wouldn't be up close to where the residents are. It'd be the other side.
Yeah, Christian, you want to ask question or?
Yes. So we are happy to reduce the number of smokers at once from 5 people to 2 people. And they won't be allowed to carry any drinks outside whatsoever or anything from the premises to outside. By reducing the number from 5 to 2, and we're more than happy to have it in writing, that will eliminate any sort of conversation going on outside, so noise won't travel whatsoever. And in terms of the hours being at 3 a.m., as I said before, I'm more than happy to reduce the hours to even 1:30. Having said that, no drinks will be served or food or anything like that from 1 a.m.
So which hour you are happy to reduce to 1:30?
Yes, and having said that, till 1:30, and with the condition that we're not allowed to serve anything after 1 o'clock. So it gives half an hour for everyone to wind down and leave quietly.
So do you want me to clarify that for you, Christian? What Christian is saying to you is that Friday and Saturday.
No, let Christian talk first. Christian, you said you are happy to reduce the hour to from what to what?
On the weekend from 3 a.m. till 1:30.
3 a.m. to 1:30. Okay, and that obviously, if it goes from 3 a.m. to 1:30, that will reduce some other hours or just this weekend.
On the weekend and any day, basically, not only on the weekend. And having said that, as well, in regards of smoking, because I'm a parent myself, and I've got a child. She's 10 years old, and I totally understand the neighbors. We can also have a policy, written policy, that no one is allowed to go out for a cigarette after 12:30 whatsoever. So no one will be allowed to go outside the premises to smoke or to do anything after 12:30.
Okay, any more questions to these 3 objectors from the applicant or from my colleagues? No, I don't see any hand. In that case, we will move to summing up, and I will ask the responsible authority to first sum up. Objectors, if they want to briefly sum up, they can, but if they have concluded their remarks, then I think that would be fine. Matthews, you want to sum up now?
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, so today we discuss the efforts made by the premises to minimize noise disturbance to residents. And we really appreciate the claimed improvements to sound insulation. Unfortunately, there's no way we can verify those. The applicants also mentioned about how much money they spent on the improvements. In my opinion, we are obligated to also look after residents' peace who have also invested some money in their houses. Some of the residents are homeowners, some others pay very high rent, I believe, given the location of the Princess Gardens. I'm not very confident about the documentation information provided by the applicants. I'm not very confident in terms of how well the sound insulation is, something that we really spoke broadly. In that case, our position remains unchanged, and we believe that granting this application will just lead to further disturbance for residents. Thank you.
Any of the objectors want to sum up, or you are okay with what you have already said?
Hopefully my objection to this is clear, so I don't think I need to say anything further.
Okay. I'm good as well. I've made my case. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. In that case, we'll move to the applicants summing up briefly.
Thank you. So thank you once again for your time and thoughtful consideration of this application. It's been an in-depth conversation, and we have tried our best to answer most of the questions that have been raised, and we are very mindful of the conditions that the residents have had to living since 2008. But we'd like to respectfully remind the committee and the residents that this is a fresh operation and a new application from a new operator who has a lot of experience in running these type of venues. He has kindly offered that the venue will close at 1:30 on Friday and Saturday rather than 3 o'clock, which will mean that the regulated entertainment will finish at 1 o'clock, which is quite a reduction. Entirely unconnected to the previous management, Christian has a new company and he signed a lease, so he's committed to the premises and he is spending a lot of money. If any of you were at the previous hearing, which was about a year or so ago, you will remember the remarks made by the committee were that it's no point coming to a hearing and saying what you're going to do if the license is granted. This is not that situation. They have already spent a lot of money and they are fully committed to finishing the venue. It's more than halfway through. It's probably 3/4 of the way through finishing. And as we've said on many occasions, as soon as it's finished, we would like to invite the residents and Ratea's team to the venue, see the venue, speak with the managers and Christian as well, and see how the venue has improved and will be improved dramatically. With the comprehensive sound proofing, the sound limiters being installed, a very expensive, I must say, sound system, because the sound engineer said, you don't have, if the sound quality is very good, you don't have to turn it up loud. If the sound quality is bad and you've got a cheap system, then to get anything, they turn it up loud. So that is a complete turnaround. The venue is now fully enclosed, which is a very important point because before it was virtually fully open. So you might as well have been having it in your garden. This is not the situation now. It's a fully enclosed premises. They're not serving shisha, and video enhancements will help confirm that the premises has been operated properly. I do apologise to Jonathan that he feels the information came in very, very late, and it did, but not because it was planned that way. It was just how we tried to collate the information to help the committee come to the correct decision. So it did come in a bit late. There has been a lot of things said about drugs and cars racing up and down and so on and so forth. I think the video evidence that we've sent in shows a slightly different story.
A brief summing
I don't
up,
know if
please.
they've had the opportunity to say that. And as Councillor said that she doesn't like to go into that area, that's not Duke's Road. That's the area where everything else is, because there's all sorts of things going on over there. But I think some of that is being unfortunately attributed to this premises. Furthermore, there has been no incidents, and I have to emphasise this, of antisocial behaviour at their premises whatsoever. The police have never been called. Now, they did put a representation in, but I don't think they've appeared here at this hearing, which says, to me, a great deal. Looking ahead, we're fully committed to an ongoing engagement with the local residents, and we really want that. We want to be part of the community and the authorities to ensure responsible and harmonious presence within the community. We sincerely hope, committee, that you will assess all the information that's been put before you today, and we hope that you will grant this licence, albeit with the necessary changes and any further conditions that you may wish to add to the application to give appeasement to everybody. I thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. The changes requested are instead of 3, closing at 1:30 on the weekend, and the entertainment stops at 1, and the smoking is only allowed to 2 people until 12:30. So these are the changes that have been requested.
That's correct, Councillor Ahmed, yes. Because obviously, if they're closing at 1:30, then all regulated engagement will stop at 1 o'clock.
Okay, Ms. Deb, I've come to the end of the hearing. Is there anything you want to clarify, or shall we move on?
No, Chair.
Thank you. Ms. Robb, on your side, have you taken all the notes, or you want to clarify anything?
All good from my side. Thank you.
Thank you. In that case, thank you, everyone. We will retire now to make the decision, and it is 1 o'clock. I don't think we'll be back before 2 o'clock. I would say 1:30, but if we can't make the reach the decision at 1:30, then it would be 2 o'clock. So stay available for 1:30. If we can't, then we will let you know, and then it will be 2 o'clock. Thank you. And Isabel, you can take them out of the room.